There's a lot of times that I have had some amazing opportunities, and this is definitely one of them. Just recently, IO Interactive had invited me out to check out James Bond's newest adventure, 007 First Light. That's right, guys. I got invited out by IO Interactive to check out 007 First Light. Got some hands-on with the game, and I'm here to talk about my thoughts and experience with this game in my hand. So, recently we were invited to an event, and we were some of the first people to be able to play 007 First Light. I've been very excited about this game since the initial announcement because this is something new for 007. It's been roughly 14 years since the last 007 game had kind of been featured. The last 007, it's been that long. And to have a development studio like IO Interactive take up the helm for this game, of course, had me very excited for the amazing possibilities that were going to come with this game, coming from such a action-packed thrill ride of a studio like IO Interactive, having really pushed a breath of continuous breath of life and fresh air into series like the Hitman series, which we are going to be sharing our thoughts on some of the latest DLC of that very soon. But I've got to tell you guys, I'm not kidding you when I say it. This game was really cool. And it was definitely something that I'm very excited to see more of. There's a lot that I am not going to talk about to keep the spoiler elements of this down. But what I am going to talk about is the basic aspects of this game and kind of what I thought about the overall experience. So, as I said, you can see right here, we got invited out, and it was such a cool venue. Of course, it was very James Bond 007-esque. The building that we were in was built in the 1920s. I talked to some of the people and staff that actually worked at that venue. Talked about its kind of Art Deco feel and how, how they kind of made this building what it is. I mean, these doors on the front of this building were like made out of pure iron. It's like just stuff that you don't really see anymore. And the life of that venue really kind of popped so perfectly with 007, and I'm sure that's the reason why IO Interactive had chosen this venue. But it just really set the tone for the event. We got to sit down and play the game for about 4 hours. And we were able to play a couple of missions. One of the missions was in Kingston, England. And in Kingston, England, in that mission, we were able to go to a gala to do some investigative work, to say the least. And then we were also able to play a mission in Iceland, and we were able to play a mission that is like a training mission. And I'm not going to say when and where these missions were placed throughout the game, but I can tell you guys, if you have been yearning for a 007 experience that made you really feel like the man, the myth, and the legend, I think you're not going to have to wait much longer to get that feeling. There's a multitudes of times as I was playing this game, I was just kind of starstruck by the game because I've always been a huge 007 fan. I can't tell you like every aspect about like every villain or every location or every storyline of every movie, but I've always really loved the 007 movies, and they've always just had this kind of debonair, kind of like really cool kind of feel. And that's the reason why I love the Hitman aspect of IO Interactive for so long, because that was really kind of the game that made me feel more like 007 than even some of the previous 007 games that come out in the past. But to get back on topic, graphical presentation of this was great. Now, we were playing this on a high-end PC, and Of course, with those high-end PCs, I can't speak specifically of what it's going to look like on PlayStation or Xbox or other consoles. But I just want you guys to know that the experience that I had on PC was a really great experience. Visually stunning game. One of the big things that I like that kind of tie in with the graphical and visuals, graphical presentation and the overall visual aspect of some of these worlds that these development studios build is the music of the game and the audio of the game. You know, how does it feel? How does it pull me in? Does the music chime whenever it's supposed to? It doesn't feel like it's something that doesn't fit in the world. Every aspect lined up perfectly. And I really do mean that. There's a lot of times while I was playing this game, I was trying my hardest to do the whole, 00 agent thing of sneaking around and just being like, oh, well, I'm just a normal guy here. But sometimes I would get into sticky situations and come upon enemies as I was trying to sneak around, and ran into a lot of action. And as you can see from some of the B-roll that we were able to show you guys, this game is all about action. It's all about story. It's all about giving you that 00 experience. One of the cool things too is the combat. So the combat in this game is something really, really fascinating, I think, because this is the first 00 game that we have seen that has a third-person perspective, and it's so overly focused into this game with that. And with that third-person perspective, the combat in this game is really fun. It's very close quarters. There's a lot of times that when you are in those close quarter environments, you can actually use the environment around you. Depending on where you move your stick, in what direction and what is near you, of like slamming the characters' heads into the wall, using things that are near the area to like throw items at some of these enemies. We've seen this type of combat before with action games out there, but to have a 007 experience, it makes a lot of sense because as we've seen on the silver screen a lot of times in these movies, 007 is doing whatever it takes to get the mission complete. And in the game, you really feel that way because as you're using the combat system that they have with this close quarter aspect, there's a lot of times that if enemies are rushing you before a certain shootout, you'll have a chance of like having this focused slowdown moment to where you can do like precision disarms, targeted takedowns. You could if you run out of bullets after picking up one of the enemy's guns, you can actually throw the gun at them. But then you can also use your Q gadgets, and those Q gadgets are exactly what they say they are. They're weapons and gadgets that are built by Q himself. And the iconic Q watch is, of course, back. That gives you the opportunity of being able to hack certain things that are near you, or using the laser strap that is built onto it to where you can actually use that to blind them, or you can use that laser to laser some of these locks and open up new areas that are locked off. And I didn't know that at first. There was a couple of times that I was kind of getting stuck and I'm like, well, where am I supposed to go? And I see this area that has a lock. I'm like, I've got a laser on my watch, bro. I'm 007. You've really got to think that. I am 007. I have these gadgets for a reason. They also have a dart phone as well that will make some of your enemies like nauseous and they'll walk off from their surrounding area. And then they've got some other stuff like the flash mines, smoke pods. The Q lens is part of the, I guess the Q watch or Q system. The Q lens is actually what you use to do the hacking of devices. But all that stuff ties in during your combat. There's times that you'll be using this close quarter combat and you're taking these guys on, and then if you use your laser and blind them, you can run up to them and do a quick takedown. But it also is very freeing. The combat is really freeing because it doesn't feel like it's something that is particularly on the rails. It feels like something like you do you. You do it how you want to do it. If you want to be stealthy and you want to take your time, then you could do that. The cover system is a really great system to use, but then you can also have some of these items that are all laying around, like, you know, fire extinguishers, bags of concrete, all kinds of stuff that you can like shoot with your laser or shoot with a gun or whatever, and it'll bust out. That smoke will fill that area. It just feels so utterly cinematic, dude. It is a really, really fun gameplay experience that we had while playing this game. Spycraft as well, which you've seen some of the trailers about this, but infiltrate spaces by reading your surroundings and staying on one step ahead. By eavesdropping, picking up intel, identifying opportunities to access your objectives, and then use the system that they have, like bluffing or social stealth, to move through guarded areas. And the bluffing is really cool because there's these different moments that you'll have opportunities that people will say certain things to you, and you'll have the opportunity to bluff to them and be like, oh yeah, I'm this guy, you know, and I'm here to inspect this or that, you know. I'm literally, as I told you, I am going as spoiler free as possible, so please do not get mad at me. But there are situations that will occur to where you'll be able to, you know, bluff your way out of something, or you'll be able to use that social stealth as you have been before in other IO games, to where you can kind of just fall into the crowd and get lost amongst the crowd. But the system that they have really worked super well. Super smooth gameplay. I didn't ever really feel like there was a lot of times that I got overly confused on what to do. I actually, before I headed upstairs to do an interview, I had told them when they were asking, you know, how I was doing in the game, showed them where I was at, and they were like, oh, you're already there. I'm like, I'm really locked in, bro. Now we did get a couple of chances to like do some replays on the training mission for sure, because the training mission really was that. It was gave us the opportunity of being able to check out different play styles throughout the game, which I did. There's different areas that you can go to in that training mission where you can either go left or right, and you have different kind of outcomes of who you're going to face and what you're going to have to do. And it gave me a real good sensibility of like what this game wants to push. This game doesn't just want to push like cinematics. It really wants to push action. And that's kind of what we really need in a third-person 007 game. I know we've all talked about GoldenEye for the longest time. GoldenEye was just, you know, it was a first-person multiplayer game. It was great. I loved it whenever I played it. But we have seen a lot of other 007 games that have come out in that time frame that have tried to pick up where GoldenEye left off, and it's always just kind of felt not horrible, but just not the experience that I always really wanted. This game really breathes to life MI6 and the 007 experience. As I said, not just with the combat skills of this game, but as well with the cinematic visuals, the unbelievable music that they have in this game, and the audio in this game too. And when I say audio, I mean overall, with the voice acting, with the presentation that they have, with the thrilling music that pitches in whenever it needs to. I just really had a great experience with this, guys. As I said, we were able to play we were able to play 3 different missions: the training mission, Iceland, and the my gosh, what's wrong with me? The Kingston? My God, what's wrong with me? I believe it's Kensington. Jesus, I'm sorry. 3, 2, 1. Kensington, England mission, which was really great. And as I said, I know that it's not really feeding a lot of information to you of just telling you these locations that we got to play, but they were massive locations. There's all different types of like different ways that you could play the game. And the overall feel that I got from this event is that IO Interactive really wants everyone to understand that this is not just some one-off, oh, well, we got the opportunity of making it, and we thought it'd be kind of fun to see what we could do with it. This is a passion project for them. They're pouring everything into this game to make it feel like more than just the silver screen cinematic feeling that you would get from going to the movies and watching a 007 film. You are stepping into the shoes of 007. This is a new origin story. This is from start to finish, something that is brand new that we have not seen in the 007 universe as of yet. And I felt like there was times that I was comparing the game to Hitman because I'm just such a big Hitman fan. But as I got into the game and I realized that there is a very big difference with this game compared to Hitman. Now, you see some of the same type of like movement and action when it comes down to, I guess, you know, you could compare it to the sense of like, well, he's an agent and he's an agent. You know, I did ask that question in my interview, and originally I wasn't going to share the audio, but I'm going to after I get done talking here and let y'all look at some of that gameplay again while I do that interview. And I do apologize about some of the inconsistencies on the audio pitch. I didn't realize how close my mouth was to the mic, but I just want you guys to understand that this was a really great experience. Gameplay-wise, it was super smooth. The guns and weapons and stuff in the game felt really tight. There was never really a time that I ever felt that I was lost playing the game because it was laid out so brilliantly. Even the missions that we played, them being in separate sections of the game, I didn't feel like there was a time we were jumping into something and I was like, all right, what the hell is going on? Because the way they have things set up. You can do so much in this game, and it gives you so much freedom. It really does make you feel like you're 007 because you can play it how you want to play it. There's been times that we've seen some of these games come out before in the past, and it's like, okay, 007, go here and pick this file up and kill these guys. You know, that's not how this game is. This game is giving you the opportunity to step into the shoes of one of the most famous 00 agents of all time. One of the biggest secret agents in a new way that we have never seen it before. He's young. His origins are new. His overall story is massive. Graphically, the game just is stellar. I mean, stellar. And with the engine that IO has been using for these years, they've honed that engine to really make it something that stands out on its own as a really great representation of graphical presentation. And as I said, I can't stop talking about the music. You know, Lana Del Rey did the theme. It's one of the biggest songs now on streaming devices. And I'm telling you, this game is really going to show how 007 games should have been being made for years, because I've got to say, I loved my time with this game. People are going to do their comparisons and people are going to tell you what to think about this game. But I suggest, as always, guys, take what I say and listen to what I say, or listen to some of these other people that got to go out to this event, but check it out for yourself. And I will be shocked to hear anyone say that this game is not something that is a true stellar 007 experience. I had such a great time and such a blast out in Los Angeles, being able to check this event out. Thank you so much, IO, for giving us the opportunity of being invited to this and checking this event out and sharing our opinions of a game that I think is going to be one of the best action titles out there this year. So definitely make sure to check back very soon for more on this game. As I said, one hell of an experience. Graphically, it was great. I am not going to talk about the story at all. I'm not going to tell you probably something that you want to hear outside of the fact that graphically, you shouldn't have to worry about anything. Take your worries out of your mind, especially if you have a high performance PC. Understand that you're going to get one hell of an experience. Audio wise, the game was stellar. The voice acting was on point. The music in this game was unfathomable. It literally, like, it felt so much like a great cinematic story was playing in the music as well as just, the story in the game. There are times that you're facing some of these enemies or these challenges ahead of trying to figure out what you're to do next. Who are you looking for? And the weapons and gadgets that you have come in handy so much in this game, so much more than what I really thought, because there's times that games have tried to do this type of gameplay style, and by introducing these type of accessories that you can use. But this is one of the better experiences that I had with those type of gadgets that you can use in game. And the Q gadgets are just, man, dude, they're so on point. The lasers, the smoke grenades, the Q vision, to where you're able to hack different stuff around you, get information. The bluffing system is really super cool. So depending on where you're at, the information that you hear in the local area by eavesdropping on people or finding information, you can kind of, bluff your way through everything. It's really cool. But then also the high intense sections of the game, to where you have tons of enemies that you're facing off against. The guns, the way they felt when you were firing at some of these enemies felt really on point. The overall action aspect of this game was top tier. The close quarter combat was something that just felt really smooth and really responsive. And I just didn't run into anything that I was just like, all right, this is a little bit of a red flag. The only red flag that I saw while playing this game is that it's really going to take me away from my family a lot whenever I get it onto my console and play it. So please, guys, make sure to check back soon for more information on this game. I cannot wait until it launches May 27th. Also, remember, too, if you do like pre-ordering games, some people don't like pre-ordering, but I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of different versions of this game. There's also 2 different collector's versions of this game. So the collector's edition comes with a life-size mask prop replica, obsidian golden outfit, a steel case. I think it comes with 4 exclusive outfits, a new weapon skin, all that other stuff. But then there is also the Legacy Edition, which comes with a replica golden gun. And I saw that and I was like, oh my God, drooling right now. But it looks really cool. The game is just, I really think this is going to be such a special game for gamers and 007 fans alike. This is one thing that's really cool about this game too, is I feel that there's going to be 007 fans out there that don't game, that are going to be like, man, maybe I need to check this out. Maybe I need to watch somebody play this on streaming, or maybe I should just get a console and play it myself. But May 27th is when this game comes out. Big shout outs to IO for inviting us out. Please make sure to check back very soon for more news on this game, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace. Hey, what's up, guys? It is Celeb back again, and I am here with Theuns, the licensing producer via IO Interactive. Today, I have the amazing opportunity of being able to check this game out, but we're also able to sit down and talk to him about this game and what excites him most about this game. Theuns, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. As I was just mentioning a moment ago, it is so awesome and exciting that we're putting the game into players' hands. We get to have you experience it for yourself. And yeah, I couldn't be happier.
Well, as I said to you before we started this, I'm a huge Agent 47 fan. I've always just been in love with the work that IO Interactive has done, and with this game, this is an origin story of Bond, but it's also an original version of Bond. So whenever y'all got the kind of word of like, hey, we're going to be able to start fresh, we're going to be able to do this, was it more or less them saying that, or is it something that the team wanted from the get go? So there's not this huge kind of similarity between the cinematic universe as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and the answer is from the beginning that was our dream. So from the IO side, when the opportunity came along for us to kind of get our hands on the Bond license and work together on this and bring this to life, we knew from the get go that we didn't want to just do a retelling of something that's already been happened before, or a game of a movie or anything like that. We really wanted to inject ourselves into it, the essence of IOI and what we can bring into this as well. And I think part of that and part of showing who we are is what ultimately landed us getting to work on this. And as mentioned, we decided from the get go to go with a reimagined origin story of a young James Bond, because it gave us an opportunity as a creative vehicle that not only is Bond discovering all of this for the first time, but you as a player get to go on that journey with him. So as he's through narrative and skill kind of progression, getting into it, you as a player get to do that as well. You just yourself a moment ago had your first experience with that, so you could see he's still a little wet behind the ears, not just because he's coming out of the ocean with a helicopter crash at the beginning, but it experience as well there in Iceland, and so he doesn't have his training yet. He gets by, but he's still Bond. There's this moment where his team is telling him this is too dangerous. The odds of survival is like this, and his response is, "I'll take those odds." That's the kind of guy that he is, right? So that is what carries him throughout his journey as he's going to earn the number, and then you go through some basic training and advanced training, and it's really fun for you as a player to feel that sense of progression yourself as well.
When taking on this rather large aspect of creating a 007 game, as you said earlier, it's been 14 years since we really had that type of experience. Having it in our own cinematic aspect in our homes and playing this game. What type of challenges did y'all face originally of kind of how are we going to separate this from people comparing it to something like Hitman or other type of agent like games?
I think for us, what was important is that we wanted to create something new and fresh and unique from the ground up, right? So, at its core, what 007 First Light is a third-person, story-driven action adventure game, and that is the key. That is kind of the main ethos that kind of like drives the project and the vision forward. That at the very core of it, there's a story that's being told, and so that is really what helped us shape the experience, shape what kind of gameplay we wanted to bring into it. Um, when you're asking, what were you asking again about challenges?
Well, like making sure that there wasn't that kind of differentiating or line of, or making sure there was a line of to where there wasn't too much of a comparison between gameplay and because Hitman is such a staple whenever it comes down to having that agent game. There was always those times that we saw studios kind of try and make a 007 game that was such a connection to that cinematic feel. And I feel IO Interactive has always done a really great job of kind of saying, hey, you may not have this experience yet, but we have Agent 47, and Agent 47 has kind of pushed that. So how do you kind of separate them in that sense?
No, I get you. The thing is, as you mentioned with Agent 47, it's a different type of game completely.
Yes.
It's a different character as well. It's slow, it's methodical, it's almost puzzle like in a way. The gameplay there, where on 007 First Light, we really went in to broaden and deepen all the gameplay systems to really fit and match this narrative driven experience that we want to bring to players, right? So when it comes to, for example, the combat that you've experienced for yourself so far as well. Going deeper on that, it's not just one click automation or anything like that. There's player freedom. You get to kind of experiment. You get to get better at it. You get to block, parry, grab a guy, grab, rush, throw. Bringing other things into that as well. Where if you're going off comparisons from before, um, Bond himself is very different from our other agent that's very well known. So he's charming. He has personality. He has some real charisma, right? And that is something that we've even gamified in a way with like bluffing, etc. So there's going to be moments where things may be about to escalate. And you use your natural instinct and you kind of bluff yourself out of that situation. That's really fun. It's like a real power move in unexpected kind of way, where it's not just about aggression; it's outsmarting.
That's very true. There was a moment while I was playing the game that I kind of during training come up and kind of felt I was like, oh, I'm backed into a corner. I don't know what to do. But having these Q gadgets, being able to help with your surroundings, and as you said, Bond is he's charismatic, but he's constantly thinking on his feet. As the other agent, he does that as well. But there is a difference between this because Bond is constantly thinking on his feet 24/7. And I can't say enough how much I've really enjoyed my experience. I'm sitting here thinking now, I'm like, what other questions do I need to ask him so I can get back down there and play it a little bit more? But one thing I want to ask too, something that I always talk about whenever I do my reviews or previews of games and stuff. I think a lot of times especially over the last few years, whenever it comes down to gamers, it's always about gameplay and graphics and how good the game is going to look. I'm the type of person I really like to be engrossed with a cinematic universe especially when music is so intensified in the game. And 007 as a series and a universe, music is key in this, and it seems like you guys have really intensified that as well. But how excited are you to get that soundtrack out, or get gamers to kind of listen to the hard work that the audio department and the singers and the writing staff have done into making music such a big intensive point in 007 First Light?
No, that great observation, and definitely it is so super important, and especially with this IP where there is such a cinematic, theming and music, and it just take any original, the Bond theme itself, it transcends generations, and that just tells you how important music is to this IP, and it's something that we, revered with the same sense of awe and diligence that we wanted to really focus on putting in here. So as you mentioned, with our audio director and our sound team and everybody, a lot has been poured into it because that is completely part of the gameplay experience. It's audio and visual. Like to really have that full immersion, you can't. Oftentimes people don't think about it or realize it, but the level of immersion you get from audio, whether that's with the ambient sound effects or the music swelling up, that is really that kind of like connects to the soul, and it is just so important for us to keep our eye on that ball. And I feel like we've really succeeded in that, and I'm so excited and so proud of what the team has done to bring that in.
And that's something that I always say. I feel like people forget to kind of focus on that aspect whenever it comes down to gaming. There's so many times that we're so ultra focused. Me myself with my ADHD mind, I'm like, okay, there's combat going on, but I feel like if we don't have that connection with the audio of the game, with the music of the game, if it's kind of off or it's not set right, it just kind of takes you out of that experience. But I mean, I very much appreciate that answer because that is something that I constantly think about whenever it comes down to games. And lastly, you talked earlier about some of these celebrities that are going to be entering into this game, and we're going to have longevity in this game over time. But as I've brought him up multiple times, it would really be great to see Agent 47 team up with 007 in something. And I'm sure that if there is something in the works for that, maybe you may not be able to talk about it, but is that something that the team has thought of since they've kind of jumped onto this project of, is there a possibility that we'll see Agent 47 and 007 team up?
I think where it comes down to the important thing is that these are in fact two quite different and distinct worlds and universes.
Yeah.
So perhaps here and there may be little hints or Easter eggs that you could find, but to it to not disappoint you, I don't think we're definitely necessarily going to go deep in on, for example,
Yeah.
having a high five moment between Bond and 47. So,
Saying, but man, I appreciate you so much for talking to me about this game. And lastly, too, the game's coming to Switch too. And the Switch 2 is such a great platform. Is there anything specific about the Switch 2 that y'all are excited about launching on this, or are you just ready to let Nintendo fans know that they can have such a cinematic experience in the palm of their hands?
yeah, I think the important and exciting thing there is just that we're looking forward for people to be able to take Bond with them wherever they go, and be able to just dive in at any moment into continuing their spy agent fantasy and earning the number. So it's just a very unique offering of that platform as well. So yeah, we're excited that we get to bring it to Switch 2 this summer, but as well our core with our other console and PC, etc. So putting it in as many players' hands as we can is our dream to let people experience this journey of Bond.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And guys, please make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and please make sure when this game launches, I'm telling you, you have got to play it. You got to get it in your hands. 007 First Light, man. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Peace.